Hello, everybody. Did you like that? The countdown? Welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And tonight's topic is going to be a part of my mental health segment of the podcast and everything. And the topic is empathy and the lack of it in the United States. And the reason why I made it a little bit more broad, it was a special request, first of all. So that's why I'm doing empathy tonight and everything. And it was because a person was telling me that there's a lack of, the person requesting it said that there was a lack of empathy in the world, and everything. So it's worldwide, but we're just worried about USA and how we get treated here mainly and everything. So um the subject is definitely empathy. So I'm going to be talking a lot about it. I'm going to give you some information and different things about empathy and what does it really mean and everything and stuff. But before I get started and everything, welcome on in. I look forward to your comments, so please definitely let me know and stuff. Hi, Ramiro. Glad to see you on and everything. Yes, it's going to be on empathy. And so I'll be giving you that as soon as I do this disclosure. All right. So it's a podcast disclaimer because I'm doing medical stuff and medical talk and everything. I wanted to make sure that I go ahead and do this just to make sure I cover myself, but also to continue to feed you guys good medicine and everything. So the podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Okay. Always consult with your physician or any medical for any medical concern. Sorry. And then if you have questions about a medical condition, reach out to a qualified healthcare professional, your doctor. Okay. Never disregard professional advice or delay seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast or any other podcast. Never delay it. You go straight to the doctor. That's what they're licensed, and that's why they collect your insurance and stuff. Guest views are their own and may not reflect the views of the host, me, or this podcast, mine. And then the information shared is for general knowledge. It should not be used for any legal or medical purposes. Always consult a licensed professional who knows your medical history for a meaningful evaluation. Somebody that knows your background so that they don't give you the wrong thing or the wrong advice. And stay informed, but always seek professional advice when it comes to your health. You can stay informed and pick this up. I heard that this rise coffee with these adaptogenic mushrooms are the best thing. They're the grail on health and everything. See, at least talk to your doctor and stuff and find out if that's something that would be good for you, and everything. So that's what I wanted to say. So again, welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And the topic is empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. Y'all see my drawings back there, right? So I just want to explain them before I go into everything and stuff. But I got on, I believe it's this side up and stuff, is a American flag. That was the first time I ever drew one, so I think I did pretty good. But anyway, we got the American flag, but on one side, I can't draw backwards hand, but it says war and peace, meaning we're divided by that. Nobody wants to go to war because that puts us in danger and everything of somebody retaliating against us or something like that. But uh, we all want peace. We want world peace. We're not going to be able to get that, but we try. So then another thing, because it's empathy that we're talking about, and I'm going to give you the definitions and everything. is I got two people over here and stuff. And, I got to be a little ghetto sometime because it's in layman's terms. That's keeping it simple, and everything. So, it's the two little heads. We could say one is a man and one is a woman. I don't know, and everything and stuff. But they got little teardrops and everything because that's what empathy is. As soon as I give you the definition, but one says, "You feel me?" And the other one says, "Yes, I feel you," and stuff. Or you understand me, or you underdig me, whatever you want to come up with and stuff. It's just saying that, yes, I can relate. I understand what you're saying. I see why you're feeling this way and stuff. I feel like crying too, or something like that. So that's what that is. And then above my head, um, I did my first little Facebook little thing, just saying that it's about social media. So I'm gonna be talking not a lot about social media, but I'm gonna be talking about it on the little computer or laptop up there that I try to call myself drawing was the little YouTube sign. And then I got, I can't leave Instagram out and stuff. I got a little Instagram sign. I was doing my best. I'm gonna get better and everything, but this is me freehand drawing, so it is what it is or ain't. And stuff. Then you got a broken heart because empathy, sometimes can be about anything, as you'll see when I present everything to you. And then also, I have a tree of empathy over here, and it has a big heart and empathy in the middle of the tree trunk. And then on there, the branches, they say fairness and nurture and rich and poor and mutual respect, something we all need, and justice. We want justice for things that happen to us. Empathy is dealing with our emotions. And also, you catch a lot of things on social media, and stuff. I've had people say things like, for example, Facebook is so messy and, and all of that stuff. And I've heard that so many times before, and I wondered about it. And I was just like, yeah, they say Facebook is messy, and stuff like that. But yeah, is it really messy or is it the content? You got to know how to take it and everything and stuff. But I'll be explaining that and everything. So welcome in, you guys, to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. The topic is empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. Hi, Auntie Linda. Welcome in. Welcome in. And stuff. So I'm going to introduce empathy. So empathy, the meaning of it is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It involves both cognitive, which means relating to or to understand, like I can relate or I understand where you're coming from, from where that person is coming from. And also the emotional, which is your emotional, is your feelings, and everything, components. Understanding someone's perspective and emotionally responding to their distress or to their joy. If you happy, oh, I'm happy too, girl. I'm so glad that happened. Or hey, I'm so glad that happened for you, young man, young king, and stuff. Hey, and stuff like that. Or if they lost somebody or something like that and stuff, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss them too, or miss her too, and stuff like that. So being able to come in and feel that emotion with the person, and everything. So that's what empathy is. Ain't that important? Or at least I think it is and stuff. It's important to me and everything. So now I'm going to the importance of empathy. Empathy is crucial for building strong communities, fostering relationships. So the term fostering relationships means to nurture, encourage, and support a relationship so that it grows and develops positively. So that's what fostering a relationship is. And that's a part of empathy. And then also it's crucial for maintaining social harmony. That means mutual respect, like on my tree of empathy and stuff. It means mutual respect for that person. You respecting them for who they are, as a person, just like you want them to respect you for who you are as a person. Nobody is over the other person or something like that. You guys are working together collectively and everything. So then also understanding the communication, peace, freedom, fairness, justice, equality, and no discrimination. I don't care what color you are. We are all human beings. Let's start respecting that and everything. Hello, Marlena, cousin Marlena and stuff. Yes, welcome on in and everything and stuff. Thank you for coming in and stuff. So then we're going to go to low empathy in the United States of America. Shout out to Jason if you're watching or you're going to come on and everything and stuff. Definitely. Thank you for giving me this subject to talk about and stuff. That's why I researched it. He gave it to me a couple weeks ago and stuff. I researched it before I come on because I want to present something good that's worth listening to and everything. So thank you guys. And so we got, what is low empathy? Again, is it refers to a diminished ability or willingness to understand and share the feelings of others. So low empathy, that means not enough empathy or very, you're scraping the bottom of the pot and stuff, is your diminished ability or willingness to even understand and share the feelings of others. That means you're so high up, you know who that is. But anyway, you're so high up that you can't relate to people because you're so full of yourself, and everything. So it's very important that we look at that. That's a person with low empathy. What else do we have for low empathy? Willingness to share with others, and it can manifest in these things: indifference, selfishness, hostility towards other struggles and emotions. So now I want to give you some actual examples, and I'll give you a couple sets of examples and stuff because these are important because they kind of touch us in our everyday life and everything. So I'm a touch on a lot of different things, but everything has to do with empathy and everything, and not being able to put yourself in that person's place. Excuse me. Okay. Hello, Miss Rosetta Granny. That's my mama. I love her. I love her and everything. So, for the topic of indifference, which is some of the things that empathy, lack of empathy, will manifest as or will appear as, one is indifference. This refers to the lack of interest, concern, or care for others' experience, situations, or problems. Okay, that's a big one because indifference means that you don't have the bandwidth. That's what my son named it and everything and stuff. That's what he says to me and stuff, is the bandwidth or the ability to put yourself in somebody else's place or to feel for them, their experience. Like they might experience this, and that's something that you've been through, so now you got a tough skin to that, but they don't and stuff. So that doesn't diminish what they say, and everything, just because you've been through it and you got over that, and you're not tripping. I'm not tripping off of that. You tripping off of something stupid like that? It's not stupid, and stuff. It's something that they feel. That's their emotion. That's their situation, and stuff. Uh, you worried about your rent? Yeah, I don't have to worry about my rent no more. My rent is always paid, or my mortgage is always paid. I don't have to worry about those type of things. That doesn't make theirs different. That's you and stuff. How are you relating to them? Are you so removed and high up on yourself that you can't relate to the fact that they're tripping off of their rent or their mortgage not being able to be paid or something like that, or they having a problem or family drama and stuff? I've been got over there. I just cut everybody off, and stuff. Well, that's you. But if you're listening to that person, you can't just cut them down and stuff. Their feelings are valid. Empathy. Welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And the topic is empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. That was just indifference. You see what I'm saying? So then we got selfishness. This involves an individual's excessive focus on one's own needs, desires, interests, often at the expense of others. So that means that the excessive focus is on that person. Maybe they're doing good in life and they don't have the problems that other people have, and everything. So then they're they can't see past their own uh good things. They're winning. So they don't want to know what a losing feel like. Don't touch me with that negative energy. But you were just negative before you became positive, and stuff like that. So you were negative when you was in the same boat, and stuff. So that saying, put yourself in in their shoes, walk a mile in their shoes. When you was walking in them sandals and stuff and they hurt your feet and stuff, it's one thing. Now you got some nice cushiony good shoes on and stuff, and you walking high on the hogs and stuff, and somebody else is low or where you were and stuff. That doesn't mean, don't be selfish like, well, I accomplished this and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the best at everything that's ever been done or something like that. That's selfish and stuff. Yeah, you could say all of that stuff and congratulations, but remember, if somebody's talking to you about how they're not there, they don't have that, they haven't had any success at that and everything and stuff, wouldn't that be selfish if you just, I'm doing good, I'm perfect, I'm so and so, and then that other person that is coming to you to, bounce some stuff off of you that they're feeling, they're kind of depressed and everything down. How are you helping and stuff? Empathy. So that was indifference, selfishness, and then we got hostility. Ooh. Okay. This involves individuals uncooperative or aggressive attitude towards others, stemming from a lack of understanding or acceptance of their struggles or emotion. Look at that old dirty bum on the street and stuff. Oh my goodness. Oh, he need to go get a job and clean himself up and stuff. But he need to go somewhere and get him a shower and all of that stuff. Why would you do that to that person? First of all, do you know what happened to him? They could have witnessed a murder. They could have got high on a drug and never came down. This is important, and stuff. You got to watch out because that could be you and stuff, so like I said, put yourself in somebody else's place. That's empathy, right? And so a hostility of lack of empathy can come out in looking down on others. She ain't made it yet. She ain't did nothing yet. Oh my goodness. Well, I know I'm doing good. I get my stuff together and stuff, but this person, yes, empathy, the lack of empathy and stuff, because you're not putting yourself in somebody else's place like empathy says, but you're actually putting somebody down because you're not there anymore. That's not your struggle. So now you're putting them down for whatever they're doing and stuff, and judging them and speaking before you even know what could have happened to that person to make them that low, or or abuse that substance or this substance or whatever and stuff like that, instead of judging and going all in on people and stuff. We need to help them. Let's work on how we're going to help. That means that if you worked on how you're going to help, you will be providing empathy, the thing we need. Okay. So I did have some other examples. So I just did indifference, selfishness, and hostility. Now I got some other examples that I was looking up and everything and stuff. And one is, another example of indifference is walking away from a person who is clearly upset without offering any support or asking if they are okay. You walk up to somebody, hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm not doing good and stuff. I got hit by a car yesterday, and and all my bills is due, and I'm doing good, and they just walk away. And you like, I was explaining, oh my God, like why would you do that? And stuff like that. If something like that happened to me, and I think something similar happened before and stuff like that, but that's rough. That's really rough and everything. So I'm saying all of this to say, welcome to Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. The topic is empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. I'm giving you the second set of examples of one, indifference. Number two would be selfishness. Now, this one is a little petty, but it's still getting to the point, because if you've ever done this, then you might want to check yourself because it will probably be considered selfish. And that is taking the last slice of cake without considering if anyone else wants it. Meaning that everybody got some cake except for one person. There's one slice left. Everybody got some, and it's one slice left, and you eat that one, and that last person that didn't get one, did you even ask? And everything. So that's something that I can't relate to actually and stuff, because I would think of that, or if I did that, and I was that hungry or greedy and couldn't give me another cake or something like that, I would probably at least break it in half and leave them something, and stuff. Leave them a crumb, a top layer or the bottom layer or something like that and stuff. But it was something as simple as the cake. But that's the example of being selfish. You just grab the next slice and stuff, and that person didn't get any. Wow, come on, y'all. And stuff. I didn't say nobody's doing it. I'm just saying this is just the example of lack of empathy. Another one is hostility. Arguing with someone who is grieving or making fun of their struggles. You grieving because you broke up with your boyfriend. He wasn't even no good. She wasn't even no good. Your girlfriend wasn't even no good. What you all sad about and stuff? Oh, because you was with him 6 years. So I was with mine 10 years. I dropped him like a bad habit. And you know what I'm saying? Like not even paying attention to their feelings, and everything. So yes, it is, that bad. And so Rosie Allen said, help is on the way. Help me to understand. Help us, Lord. Help, help, help. You're right. Help us to be empathetic to people, because it's really a bad thing, when we can't even relate to anybody. Is your life going that perfect that you can't relate at all or feel a certain type of way about, a situation? Or if you've been through that situation and you are on your way out of it and stuff, not even being able to say hey to them, and stuff, it's pretty rough and everything. So then we got lack of empathy would be basically dismissing someone's feelings or experiences as not a big deal. So what? My pet passed away too. So what? Like who cares? Yeah, that's a big one. But anyway, yes, everything is a big deal to that person. So if they're big enough or bold enough to tell you about it, guess what? It's probably bothering them. You can't dismiss it unless you were in that situation. And since we don't live each other's life, we don't know what might hurt somebody or what might hang somebody else up. Oh, that happened to you and stuff. That been happened to me. So what? Just get over it. No, it's not just get over it. They might not be ready. So if you try to push them to get over it and stuff, guess what? You might push them away from you and stuff. So just make sure that if I was in their shoes, would I want somebody to tell me what I just said to that person when I have a lack of empathy? if I could relate to them and I said some good advice, like I was told that you could just calmly, maybe you might need a therapist to help you get through these and work through these feelings or something. Or maybe you can meditate, or find something, like a Bible channel on online or something like that, since everybody is online. But give something back, and don't just give nothing and dismiss them, because it's not a good thing. And it comes back to, hurt people and stuff. So now I'm going to move on to the current state and the United States uh, of empathy, the current state. There has been growing concerns about declining levels of empathy in American society, especially in the context of increased polarization, technology, and social media. Okay. I know that was a whole mouthful, and we're supposed to be doing layman's terms, but I'm going to break it all down to you in just a minute and everything. So, one thing, when I say increased polar, that means, a magnet brings you together. But if it's a polar and stuff, it's pulling you apart. It's the great divide. Like Kendrick Lamar said, it's the great divide, and stuff like that. You got the left against the right, like in a political situation. Social media, around the time of elections and all of that stuff, the social media, what they do, from different channels. I'm not going to name any, but anyway, I'm not going to name any, but I'm saying that the platforms and stuff, they tend to watch your shopping and watch what you look at and what you take the time to listen to, that whatever and stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this, but you ordered some Temu stuff. What is that? TEMU or something like that. And you went on there and you looked at a podcast mic, or something like that. You looked at a some little flickering lights and different things like that and everything. And then the next thing you know, you're on there scrolling through the same social media site and that you stopped at one of the little commercials on and stuff. Next thing you know, you're flooded with all this stuff to sell you different things on that item. That's how social media reels you in, because people pay them to advertise my stuff, and stuff. So it's a big deal, and stuff. And I don't regret that, and so I'm saying that that's the big deal. But you wonder why you're getting that. You look up a certain vitamin D, and stuff like that, or vitamin A, and stuff, and all of a sudden you get 15 items every time you scroll down from one social media profile to the next or something like that and stuff. Next thing you know, you're getting in between there all these vitamin A and vitamin D and vitamin A and vitamin D, and it's all by different people, and it's all by different things and stuff like that. These computers are, they're picking up on everything. If you want to lose weight, you might start getting all these exercise things, or if you watch a twerking video, dropping it like it's hot, and they drop it like it's hot and keep on dropping them like they hot on you. And next thing you know, it's like, did I enlist myself in a porn channel? Yeah, I'm getting a lot of twerking, and stuff like that. So I'm saying that to say that that's how it goes, and stuff. That it's a certain little thing. I'm gonna speak about it some more. So when I said that about the great divide, I'm talking about, how you hear our president, our current president, saying, the left and the right, and the left says this and the right says that, and and so on, so on. It's basically the Democrats and the Republicans, and everything. And so basically it's just about the politics of it and everything. But if you're for Kamala Harris, and stuff, and she didn't win and stuff, then you feel like you lost too and stuff. And then if it was for Trump and like he won, oh, we won. No, he won. Yeah, it's not about you, it's about him. He won. Did he come to your house and tell you that he was gonna hook you up? Yeah, he won, not you and stuff. I'm just saying that and stuff because it's true and stuff. So I'm saying all of that to say that's how we have the great divide, the great divide. And when we had the Black Lives Matters and stuff, no, all lives matter and stuff. Yeah, they all do matter and stuff like that. But because there was a lot of injustice going on and stuff, then yes, people gonna jump on this board because they see this, and the people that are dying look like somebody with my skin color or something like that and stuff. So which side do I get on? Do I get on the side of the people that was taking them out, or do I get on the side of the people that's been life's been taken, and stuff? So then you got to, adjust your moral compass. It's all about empathy. Or do you relate to it? Can you put yourself in their shoes? Put yourself in the police shoes. Put yourself in the victim shoes. So what happens? So you see how you can't just rush to judgment on everything. But I'm saying all of this to, because I don't want to get into a great debate. But I do want to get into the fact that it's all about this empathy, this word empathy, and what it really means, relating to, putting yourself in that person's shoes, or that, that family's shoes that lost that person and everything. I don't want to talk anymore about politics, so I'm gonna kind of skip over a little bit of it and stuff, and I'm gonna go to some of the causes of low empathy in the United States. So I told you the political polarization, pulling us apart, Democrats, Republicans, and really nothing in the middle, because the middle don't win. It's either a Democrat or a Republican. I've never seen the middle win, or whoever that might be and stuff. So I'm just saying. And then we got economic inequality, which is a cause for low empathy in our United States of America. And that's increased disparity, increased poorness, increased struggle and stuff. Economic inequality may reduce empathy, as a wealthier individuals might struggle to relate to the struggles of lower income communities and vice versa. I can't relate to them. They so rich that what they throw out in one day, that's what I feed my family for in 1 year, and stuff like that. And, it's a big divide, because the rich are so rich that, oh, but anyway, the rich are so rich that they're in a mind of their own, and they want to try to monetize other people and demote other people and take away other people's stuff. But then the poor, we're so poor that we just rob it from our own communities. That's why, I went in the dollar store. It was 5 people shoplifting. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do and stuff? Because they were on every single aisle and stuff. And so my thing is, of course, I didn't snitch on them or nothing like that. Stuff. But my thing is, they must need it, and stuff. But everybody is not going to look at it like that, and stuff. Everybody, some people might, oh my God, look how they're doing that and stuff. Do you see that guy over there in the blue shirt and the so and so? Yeah, don't tell on them like that. They're going to beat you up or something like that. But I'm saying that to say they must need it. They hungry and stuff. It's getting, it's getting rough around here and everything. Hey, Dontrell and Rosie Granny Allen, we need help to help others. You're right. We definitely need empathy in our lives, and we have a lack of it in the United States right now. That's why everything feels so daunting, and there's a lot more depression. There's a lot more pain, and it's just rough and everything. So the other thing is healthcare access. So lack of empathy for people and stuff. The ongoing debate about healthcare in the United States. It often lacks empathy for the vulnerable populations, such as the low-income families, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions. So if you have a condition but you don't have any insurance, and then you try to go get insurance, one of these cheap Medicare, Medi-Cals or whatever and stuff like that. If you already got something, they're not paying for your condition. So if you got cancer, you might as well just, take it up to the Lord and stuff, and the Lord only, because that's the only one gonna get you out of it and heal you up, because your insurance they're get rid of everything, and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna say they getting rid of everything. So it's gotten rid of, and stuff like that. So if you're pre-existing and stuff, yeah. And even our veterans, they're suffering and stuff like that. So it's so much need, and it's a lack of empathy. These people went to war for you, and everything, and then they come back all messed up from killing people, and stuff, and seeing bloody murder on the streets everywhere, and attempts at their life and everything, seeing their fellow platoon members and stuff. It's not just about the military, but I'm saying about everybody and stuff. So that's why you see people walking and talking to themselves. They're out of their mind. They wasn't able to cope, so they lost it all together. And that's the important part of why I'm doing this and everything, because it's medical talk in layman's terms with Nurse Charlene. And it's empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. So, lack of empathy in healthcare situations, lack of empathy in rich versus poor, and stuff. Neither one of us, the poor can't understand the rich, and the rich can't understand the poor, and everything. So, how can you relate to them and say, yeah, you know what, keep those food stamp program going? You gonna take it away? Somebody got 6 kids or 10 kids or something like that. You gonna take it away? Yes. Dontrell said we need help. You are absolutely right. We need help with mental health and taking care of these people that are walking around. They're not doing that for nothing. I think if they chose, they wouldn't choose to be dirty and all disheveled and stinking and out of their mind, crazed out of their mind and stuff, and then taking more drugs on top of that and stuff to keep them in zombie land. The fentanyl crisis, which I'm going to do on another topic and stuff, the fentanyl crisis and all of that stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen in San Francisco, they have it real bad where it's like the zombie apocalypse and stuff. These people are bent over and contortionists, not by choice, but because that medicine got them so messed up, that fentanyl and stuff, and whatever they cut it and chemically treated with and everything to get it out there on the streets and stuff. It's killing people on sight and stuff, but also it's just breaking them down and stuff. And next thing you know, they're just dead. They're the walking dead, literally. All right. So then we got also lack of empathy in the United States. We can't just sleep on it and stuff. And I don't want to bring up a big deal about it, so I'm not going to go into like details, but police brutality and racial injustice and everything. The treatment of marginalized communities, particularly Black Americans, by law enforcement has highlighted a deep lack of empathy. Incidents of police brutality and systemic racism demonstrate how societal empathy is often lacking for these communities. Meaning, I don't need to say too much more than George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, what is the Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant. I'm just saying, and stuff like that. So those are examples of that and how the people are already out and that man is gone. That woman is gone from their family, from their kids, from their life, and stuff like that. It's not even about that. It's about that was still a human being. I don't care if he was cussing you out or whatever, and stuff. Cussing is better than shooting at you, shooting back and forth at you or something like that and stuff. So all I can say is empathy and the lack of it. So I must stay away from that one because I can relate. I am an empathetic person and stuff. Not only am I a registered nurse for 21 years and stuff, but I'm also empathetic to these situations. And they bother me and they hurt, and everything. But this is me and my opinion and everything. Everybody's struggle might not be the girl, what you tripping off of? They not even from your city and stuff like that. Why is you trying to cry about that and stuff? No, because it's serious. It could be mine. It could be my family member. It could, actually it was, and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna keep it real, and stuff. But at the same time, just say this is some real stuff going on. And then the consequences to low empathy. Social fragmentation. That means the people that are around you, and stuff, and you become compartmentalized, or you become in your own little gang, your inner circle, or whatever we say, and stuff. And the low empathy causes us versus them mentality, where different groups in society are increasingly disconnected and hostile towards each other. Like, you see how they be talking and looking at me and stuff like that? That's why I don't like them. Yeah, that was them that did that, not the whole race of them, that person. Oh, that black girl, I got into it with her, this black girl so bad and stuff. And yeah, that was that black girl. That wasn't this black girl. That was that black girl, and stuff. I'm not gonna come at you the same, because I'm not that girl. But if you look at all of us like that, guess what? When you look at me like that, and I don't know that you've been through that and stuff, guess what? Why is she looking at me? Ooh, ooh. Okay. But if you could understand that. So then we have the deterioration of social trust. A lack of empathy erodes trust in institutions, the police, fellow citizens, all the different, social societies. These are better than these, and these must think they're better than this race, and this race think they're better than this, and everything, leading to social instability and reduced cooperation. I ain't voting for nobody and stuff. Let's just not vote for nothing. Let's do a blackout on all the stores and everything and stuff. They ain't no good anyway and stuff. Let's group together and do this and do that. Yeah, that's where that all comes from. And it's so easy to jump aboard because of empathy, the ability to put yourself in that person's shoes that been violated. But you know what? Everybody is not violating. Maybe this store violated you, or that store might have violated you, but every single Target didn't violate you. Every single Walmart didn't violate you. I'm a victim of that, of being violated at a store, and stuff. I'm not going to give no name, but they know who they are. But anyway, and stuff, but they were really, really terrible to me, in my opinion. And I sat on with customer service and complained for hours about that person. And I still don't think the joke was on me. And so that's what I'm saying about. And so that trust is gone. So now when I walk into that store, I'm on heightened alert. I'm looking at everybody like, why are you looking at me? They might be looking at me because they like something they seen, or they like my shirt or something. But I'm in this store and stuff. Now they got people watching me, or something like, yeah. Okay, I'm a human being, just like you. That's why this is a podcast, but it's also a discussion, an interactive discussion. So I welcome you guys to come on in and stuff. I'm doing this and I'm gonna keep on doing it as long as I can possibly do it and stuff, until people catch on to what I'm doing. So I'm talking about the whole body, holistic body and stuff. I'm talking about from head to toe, from the inside out, and stuff. I'm going to talk about your digestive system. I'm going to talk about your eyes. I'm going to talk about, problems of your eyes. I'm going to talk about mental health in some type of way. I'm going to talk about empathy, but I'm also talk about drugs and fentanyl and stuff. I'm going to talk about women's health and men's health. I'm going to talk about all these things and stuff because they need to be addressed. And no, I'm not giving you medical advice to take it from me. I am a medical and an active duty nurse, and I have been one for 21 years and counting and everything and stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to talk about everything. If it sounds good, it's coming on, and everything and stuff. So if that makes sense. Another thing that with lack of empathy in the United States, it puts a mental health strain on us. Why am I, who I am and everything, a nurse and everything and stuff, respected, in lots of circles and stuff like that. But I'm in there like, why they looking at me like this, and stuff like that? Because guess what? I'm a human being and my mental health might not be all that great every single time, and stuff like that. So that's where I'm coming from with this and stuff. Like I said, I want to help you help yourself, if that makes sense. because I'm helping me by teaching you. I'm helping me help myself because I want to get to the good part. And we're going to talk about all types of stuff, and everything. Who is that was giving me some little hearts and stuff? Get on there and say something to me. And stuff. Okay, so the mental health strain that I was talking about with lack of empathy in the United States. Low empathy may contribute to higher levels of mental health struggles as individuals feel isolated or unsupported, especially in times of crisis. When there is that injustice or that pain and stuff, the person feels all alone, like nobody understands, that they just lost a loved one or something like that and stuff, and it's painful and everything and stuff. People, hey Maria, yes, I knew it was like I couldn't recognize the little bubble head and stuff like that. But how you doing? Welcome on in and stuff. I'm talking about empathy and the lack of it in the United States of America. And empathy is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's place. If they're happy, then you're happy. Absolutely. Miss Maria and stuff. She said postpartum depression. That's a big one. Oh my God. And stuff. Postpartum depression. Nobody understands. You just had a baby, girl. What you trying to be sad about and something? You just had a baby. But they just went through 9 months of carrying that baby in their stomach. And then their body is changing. And then, their health might have been at risk somehow, and stuff like that. Like these other existing things like what is it called? Preeclampsia, where you got out of control high blood pressure, or diabetes, gestational diabetes, where you have diabetes because you have a baby and you're carrying and eating for two, but you're nauseated all the time and all of this stuff. And then you got the labor, and all of that stuff, and everything is happening. And then you got to make sure that the babies are okay, or the baby is okay and stuff, to be fit to go home and all of that stuff, and how that drags at you, and that pain and all the situation. And is the baby going to be all right? And is everything going on? I love you too, Maria, and stuff, and what's happening and stuff. So it's a big deal, and stuff like that. So I did take a sidebar on that and stuff, but saying all that to say, that's what I'm talking about. And if nobody can relate to you or understand, like, I'm a nurse, so yes, I'm gonna relate to a lot more things than somebody else that's not a nurse and everything. But when you're looking at that and stuff, and nobody, you had the baby, now get out there and run or something and stuff. Why your stomach still big, or something like that and stuff. Shame, 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 shame. Whoever's selfish little self, that's a lack of empathy. You don't even have the ability to put yourself in their shoes to know that she went through all of this. And then the waking up, sleepless nights over and over, and fixing a baby and making sure they have their milk, and making sure you're feeding them, and making sure this, and making sure that they're safe and that they don't die in the crib, and stuff like that. Like, all this stuff is amazing, but that's what a mother has to go through. So can you even wonder why they would have postpartum depression, and stuff? And empathy, which I'm talking about. So thank you, Maria, and stuff, because it has something to do with that. It's the lack thereof empathy. Empathy means you can put yourself in their shoes. You can almost cry when they cry, and stuff, because you understand. Yeah, it hurted. Yeah, it was traumatizing. Yes, it was a big deal, and everything. Hey, Mary, welcome in and stuff. You said with pregnancy, after the delivery, the mother can have hormone adjustment. Oh, yes. That can, because of the hormones, because your body is giving off all these hormones during pregnancy and everything and stuff. And then after, you still are faced with all of those things and stuff, and trying to get your so-called life back, and everything. Love you too, Mary, Nurse Mary, and stuff. And yes, Maria, selfish that we in so much competition with each other, and can love one another. You're right. That's another part of empathy. See, now y'all cooking. Now you cooking. Now I'm feeling good now and stuff. I love you guys and stuff. Yes. in competition over how we look, and are we pretty, and what are we doing and stuff. You know what, I found myself, um uh, of course, I'm not perfect or anything like that and stuff, and but I did have the wherewithal to get enough strength, and I think a dear friend of mine, Pastor Renita and stuff, shout out to her, and external and exceeding weights of glory and stuff, who put me on over a year and a half ago on a show called titled Let's Talk Medical, where she put me on, and allowed me on her church platform to talk about these different things and stuff, and talk about medical stuff. And she said, just go at it, Charlene, just have at it and stuff. And I had to develop, my voice is very deep. So, oh my God, I sound like a man and everything. I'm a woman. And so I'm a grandma, and a mother of two, and stuff. So I'm just saying this to say that I was like, oh, my voice is so deep, and oh my God, and look at my skin. I think I'm getting wrinkles and stuff like that, and all of that stuff. And that'll play on you. So when Maria, what you said about us being selfish and everything, what if I didn't come on? What if I didn't do this and stuff, and nobody's talking about it? Yes, there's nurses that have more years than me and more experiences than me and everything, but I'm brave enough to come on and try and everything. I'm not going to get it perfect and everything, but I'm perfecting it, so it will get there and everything. Yes, Mary, thank you and stuff for listening in and everything. And I'll be on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. unless the Lord say different, and stuff. But definitely, because I want to do that. Yes, a whole woman and stuff. But that's what we do and stuff. Yes, I'm not going to go get no plastic surgery and stuff. I'm embracing whatever wrinkles pop up and everything else. I thank God that he did, gave me a little shiny skin like a little teenager and everything and stuff. But that's not always gonna last and everything. But what I got up here gonna last. So I'm gonna keep on getting on and everything and stuff. So as I kind of close this, in a little while and stuff, I'm gonna close it and stuff after about an hour and everything. There's different things. I wanted to just come with the conclusion part, which is a prescription for how we can rebuild empathy. That means empathy is the ability to relate to someone, the ability to put yourself in their shoes, the ability to actually care, or does I don't want to say the bad word, but give a F. That's a feezy, not the other F word. Is give a feezy. But anyway, I'm saying that to say that these are some prescriptions of things that we can do to start building back empathy. Just in our communities, if we start small, we could tear them up and get everybody and everything. As long as we got social media and that platform to keep on coming on and stuff like that, this is how we can start rebuilding. And that is active listening. So active means, physically active, and stuff. That's movement. So physically listening to people, taking the time out to listen. What are they saying? Even your kids. This is not just about the adults or something. This is about the little kids. Even a little baby fussing and walk up to you and hit you. Why are they hitting you? Because they want something, and stuff. So you got to love them, and stuff like that. So active listening, truly listening without interrupting and stuff. Not you guys. Y'all come on in anytime you want to. But truly listening without interrupting. This is, I'm talking about in a serious situation. You see somebody and they need it and stuff. Listen to them. Even if you can't help, maybe you can help them think of what they can do to get out that situation. Girl, you homeless now? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry and stuff. Well, you know what? I know of a clean homeless shelter that could take you and your kids in. You know what I'm saying? So listening without interruption first, because their battle is not your battle. But if you have a heart, and that's all you need is a heart, and stuff. You can do it and stuff. So then there's focus on understanding the other's perspective, understanding where they coming from. You feel me? I feel, yes, I feel you. That's where that came from. Okay. Practice emotional regulation. Recognize your own emotions and learn to manage them effectively. Don't you know I got to cope too? I can get mad and get an attitude just like anybody else, and stuff like that. I'm a human being. Yeah, my heart beat like yours, and stuff. We all in this together. I'm sorry to tell you, if you're a human being, you in this too, and stuff, and it's gonna touch you somewhere and stuff. So let's get together on it and stuff. So that's one, managing your own emotions. Find out what makes you tick, what makes you abuse a substance, what makes you go there. Oh, I got to go smoke me a cigarette, or so I got to go smoke me a blunt. I can't even function unless I get 3 blunts in first, and then I could, and all of that stuff. Where is that coming from? And why is that so important? And stuff. So if you understand that, I'm just trying to be as real as I can and stuff. But that's what that is and stuff. Because if you manage you'll listen better. And then also it allows for more compassionate responses. Like, girl, you homeless? Well, I know a clean place that'll get you back on your feet and they house you, and stuff like that. And coming up with that resource without, how you gonna be homeless? What's wrong with you? Or something like that. That's why people hide that. Yes. Recognizing, Mary said, recognizing our own personal bias. That is correct. Oh my goodness. And stuff. That's it. Recognizing us and how we look, and stuff, instead of me looking down on that lady like I did this, and I'm gonna admit and stuff, not that I'm a monster or nothing like that and stuff, because I love the Lord. You see, I got God, amen, and stuff. But I'm saying that to say that I saw a lady sitting in front of Walgreens the other day. He might have been Indian or something like that. And then the little boy was sitting with her and stuff like that, a little school age boy and stuff. And she was asking for money, talking about she had a little cardboard saying she lost her job or something. Long story short, I looked at her and I started to just walk on past her. And she asked me, but I was like, no, like, I just kind of looked at her a little bit. And then I thought about it because I read the board and stuff. And I was like, well, you know what? It won't hurt me to give a few dollars and stuff. So I went to the car, put my stuff up because I didn't want to pull out stuff out of my purse and somebody bopped me upside my head. I got sense. But what I did was I went to the car. I thought about it for a second. And I was like, she could be one of those scammers that get out there and then they got a nice house, somewhere or something like that. But that's my bias and stuff. She probably got a nice house and everything, got, heck of money and stuff. And then she want my little couple dollars and stuff. But I figure like this. If God gives me everything that I need and stuff, if I give it to her, if she's wrong, God will take it away, and stuff. But if I'm wrong and I had it to give, guess what? My heart is okay. And I drove away guilt-free. So if it did help her, then I helped somebody. And that's what I like to do, is help people and stuff. But if I didn't do it, would I have thought about it? Me and my moral compass, like checking yourself. You better check yourself and stuff. That's where that comes from. Yes, Mary, that's right and stuff. So I did what I was supposed to do, and I drove away guilt free, pretty much and stuff. So I complicated myself in that situation and stuff. So a couple more things and then I'm gonna have to get on off of here, you guys and stuff. But one is to engage in compassionate acts. Small acts of kindness can reframe perspectives and increase empathy, the ability to relate. And then also volunteer, offer help, like give back, and stuff, donate to places that actually give the clothes to somebody and not monetize them, first. Give them to the churches first, and then other people that's gonna sell them anyway, or something like that um, promote face-to-face interactions. We need to see each other. Like you guys get, you don't know what's going on in my life, but you get to see me on the screen each week and stuff. So it's like seeing me all over again, and stuff like that. And that's a good way to engage because it's gonna give me what I need as far as that face to face. It's gonna build trust because I gotta trust you guys also, and stuff. But you need to trust me that some of this stuff I'm saying is the truth, and stuff like that, And I give you full credit to be able to go and look it up, whatever I say on there and stuff like that, and see if you come up with the same information because you can always come back and teach me because I've never been too big to be taught still and everything. So thank you, Mary Thomas and stuff for I'm glad you enjoyed it, but those are the things that I wanted to say and basically start small and just little by little build you up so that your mental health is so much better and everything and stuff. And this is very important. And what I was talking about today on Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene is empathy and the lack of it in the United States, but how we can fix it and turn the corner and do better. And so that's what I wanted to say, you guys. I thank everybody that came in. Everybody, if you didn't catch it from the beginning and stuff, you can go back in after the live is ended and catch the replay. Definitely like, tag, and share to other friends and everything because it'll be the whole hour worth of time that I use and everything. And I send my love to you guys. And remember, your body is a snitch, even your brain. You're not having headaches for no reason. You're not having ringing in the ears for no reason. You're not having a sore throat, a scratchy throat for no reason. Everything has a reason. But how can a body tell you and stuff, other than being out your mouth? It has to show you. It has to show you. So it's going to do things like that. Your skin is going to be dry. You're going to be constipated. You're going to, feel nauseated and all these things. They're for a reason. Don't sleep on them because they all mean something. And if I didn't tell you nothing else, let me help you help yourself. I'll be back next Tuesday. And the topic is going to be gut health. And I have a surprise guest coming on to talk about gut health and everything and some supplements that are A1 for this and stuff. So yes, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Y'all tune back in, catch the replay, like, tag, and share, 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 share. I appreciate it. And one more thing, I am live on Facebook, but I'm also live on YouTube at the same moment and everything. So you can catch me on YouTube and go and give me some likes and subscribe to YouTube, also to my channel, which is Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And that's what it's going to be under and stuff. And y'all take care. I send my love. Bye-bye.